Hi guys, it's just Tiffany. Today I'm back with a little Sunday dinner tutorial. As you see here, I have 2 turkey legs in a pot, and I am cutting up an onion to put in there with them. Just so you know, I'm making lima beans, macaroni and cheese, green beans, fried chicken, cupcakes, brownies, cornbread, and some steak I'm gonna mess up, but it's fine. That happens sometimes in life, and I'm gonna leave it in here because that's just reality. So I cut up a decent sized onion in chunks. Really, it doesn't have to be too small because it's gonna cook for a while. And so I put it in the pot. I am going to. I'm showing you the pot now. You can use any kind of smoked meat, turkey necks, turkey legs, turkey wings, neck bones, ham hocks, whatever kind of smoked meat you like. The night before, you do want to soak your beans in water, and this decreases the amount of time that they need to cook. Here I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be transferring it to a smaller pan, just because my turkey legs are too big for the pan that I want to cook it in. I use this Goya chicken bouillon 2 packs just to add more flavor. I don't put a lot of seasoning in it, so I want the stock to be good. And the smoked meat already has its own flavor. The onion adds some flavor, and the chicken stock adds some flavor. So I'm just going to cover that with a lid, and I'm going to allow that to cook on. I started out on medium. You can turn it down if you need to let it cook a little longer, and you just really leave it on the stove. You come back and watch it. And so here I am showing you that they've been cooking. You can see that the meat is starting to pull away from the bone. Pierce is in the background trying to put his car up by the food. I have no idea why. So I took the turkey legs out. I'm just sitting them on a plate because I want the juice to cook my lima beans in. And on the packaging of the lima beans, it does tell you to allow them to soak overnight in cold water. So if you follow the packaging, it takes less time. That's why they tell you that. If you don't soak them, they will take longer to cook. So I pour my lima beans in the pot that I want to cook them in, and then I'm just going to, there's Pierce in his car. I think I threw that car like about 4 times on the couch, and he brought it back to me every time. See, boom, there you go. So yeah, you just poured onions and all. The onions are going to basically cook down to nothing. And as you can see, I have plenty of stock to cover my lima beans. I'm going to start them off on a medium heat, and then I'm going to decrease them to a medium-low heat. Here I am just adding some of the turkey leg. I let the kids eat it. We just shared it amongst the family. And then I used the other one and put in the lima beans. You don't have to do this. You can not use the meat. You can use the meat. Timaeus is over here like, what you doing with that turkey leg? Give me some. Yeah, so if you have a neck bone or a ham hock, you don't have to use 2 separate pans. And if you have a pan that's big enough to hold your turkey leg that you're not going to need later, you don't also have to use 2 separate pans. That big pan is the only big pan I have right now. I need to get another one. I just had to throw one out because it was peeling, and that is not good. So yeah, I need to get another either Dutch oven or a stock pot. And so I'm just stirring that. I'm going to decrease the heat, I believe. To add the rest of the time. I probably was trying to hide it from tonight. So yeah, you just want to put that back in there if that's what you want. Again, you don't have to have meat. You can use vegetable stock. And I believe that it would taste good as long as you use a vegetable stock. And I like the way lima beans taste without a lot of seasoning in it. you have to, again, make it for your preference. So as you're cooking, you are tasting to see what needs to be added to suit how your taste buds want it to taste. So always while cooking, you're tasting and checking your food to see. So here I have washed that pot and I have added water to bring to a boil to make my macaroni noodles. So I have this on like a 9. I probably shouldn't have had it this high, but I didn't want to be all day cooking. And so, see, it's to a boiling boil. Some of the water got on my hand, but it's okay. So you just salt the water, and once you salt it, then you go ahead and add in the macaroni noodles. Michael was helping me. He was trying to give me the cheese there. It was too early for that. So you want to stir in the noodles, and I like to stir them. You want to so that they don't stick together. So you're going to stir them. You're going to cover them. Come back, stir them again. Cover them, stir them again. Follow the directions on your box. As you can see, I'm stirring them again. The box, I believe, says about 9 minutes to al dente. That's what you want to do. You want to strain it. Turn your heat down. You're going to use a stick of butter in the same pot. I have not washed this pot out or anything. So because it's just water and salt, so it's fine. So you're going to use a stick of butter. Let that come to a melt. Let that melt. And you're going to add, I use 1 stick of butter, and in my flour I have a 1/4 of a cup measuring, and I'm going to whisk that in. Now this is the basis of a roux, of a gravy, of many things. It's usually equals parts fat and equal parts flour. You want to stir it. The butter is helping the flour cook. It's used as a thickening agent. I don't use a cheese soup. I just make mine this way because I'm going to use all the cheese anyway. So if you were making gravy, you can do this. If you're making a roux for a soup, you can do this. And the longer you cook it depends on the color that it's going to become. I don't really want a color because I'm doing macaroni and cheese. So in this, I have about 3 cups of milk, and I have removed it from the eye because you don't want to scald your milk. And you also want to slowly add it so that it's thickening as you're doing it, and you're whisking so you don't have any clumps. You want it to be smooth. You can put it back on the eye now. You're going to keep whisking, and you're going to add the rest of the milk. You're going to keep whisking. Then you're going to add in your cheese. Now, be better than me and have your cheese already ready cut. I was just preoccupied doing a lot of things that morning. Now, a lot of this stuff you can do the day before. Right now, we are in quarantine, so we have services online, so I'm able to cook and listen to my service while it's online. But if this was where you are leaving to go to church, I would suggest making the lima beans the day before. I also pre-seasoned the meat the day before. That's it sitting in the back. I have it just getting room temperature because it's better to cook the meat when it is room temperature versus it being cold and going into something else. So I'm just cubing this up. You can also make the macaroni and cheese the day before if you so choose. You can do all this and stick it in the refrigerator. I like to make my macaroni and cheese the day of, whether it's for Thanksgiving. Anything that I'm cooking macaroni and cheese for, I like to cook it the day of because I love the way it tastes fresh out the oven. I'll eat it the second day, but I'm just saying that's my preference. So you're going to add that into the milk and you're going to whisk. And the chicken you just want to season to your taste. I have some sazon, some garlic powder, some onion powder, some Tony's, some adobo. And I just set it in the refrigerator overnight. Here I'm having my triple state cheddar. I like that mix. You can use any cheese mix that you like. Macaroni and cheese is made of what you like. So the cheese blends that you like. I like to add onion powder and a little bit of black pepper in mine. You don't have to add that if you don't like it. You can use monster cheese, you can use Gouda, you can use pepper jack. Some people use mozzarella. You know, macaroni and cheese is something you definitely could play with to figure out what is the combination that you like. For this macaroni and cheese, this is really basic for me. I didn't have one of the two cheeses that I use, but it still came out good and the family loved it, and that's all that really matters. Here I use Velveeta. I don't buy the block, I buy the cheese sauce because that's basically what it's going to turn into with the milk anyway, so I don't have to cut it up. I just squeeze it right on out the back. And I am only making one box of macaroni and cheese, so that's why I'm only using the one of the Velveeta. But you can you see that I used one pack of that. I added the macaroni noodles into it. I'm stirring that up. I'm going to add more milk. I don't like my macaroni to be thick going in the oven. I like it to have almost like a little thinner than if you were making a stovetop macaroni and cheese. So I guess a little soupiness to it because it's going in the oven. So there I just added some more of the triple state cheddar, and I'm going to add a little more milk because it's a little too thick for my liking. So I should have put a little less milk than that, but it's okay. You see how it's kind of soupy? Now I could have just added more cheese and it would have thickened right back up. You want to taste it, see if it needs anything, whether salt, whether onion powder, whatever. You want to pour it into a greased pan, whether you grease the pan or whether you use an aluminum pan, and then you don't got to worry whether you spray it, whatever. I'm using another thing of triple state cheddar cheese, and I'm just topping it. Some people put breadcrumbs. You're more than welcome to do that. I don't do that on my macaroni and cheese normally, so I wouldn't do it now. But there it is, looking delicious, and you want to cover it just for a little bit, and you're going to put it in the oven. My oven is set at 350, and you're going to put it in there. I put it in there for about 20 minutes covered. Then you're going to uncover it and let it just get nice and golden on the top. And then the macaroni and cheese is done. You want to make sure you're keeping an eye on your lima beans, that you're stirring them. Here I'm tasting them to see what they need. Again, when you're cooking,
guys,
you're always tasting.
This, and you leave the top on, and you're just a kid, and you're high school, and you're learning how to cook, and you're not in school today, ask your parents to help you cook. Ask your parents to help you learn how to cook.
So, as I was saying, you're always tasting.
And
Like
if you're learning how to drive, ask your parents to help you do that too.
Just added a little bit of salt because I tasted it and it needed it. And it's pretty much done.
Hey guys.
Let that meld together. I'm going to start on the fried chicken and the green beans and the steak in just a minute. I gotta clean some stuff up to make room. My kitchen is very small. That's why it's hard for you to see me and cook. Show you what I'm cooking. That's the oven and all that stuff. So, all right, guys. So, while you're cooking, make sure you're always tasting so that you make sure you're seasoning your food properly. Here I have 4 cups of water in another pan. that I'm going to be making my rice in. Rice, the way that I make my rice is, so if I'm doing 4 cups of water, I will do 2 cups of rice. If I'm doing 3 cups of water, I'm going to do a cup and a half of rice. If I do 2 cups of water, I'm doing 1 cup of rice. And I always bring my water to a boil. I put butter in there, and I put the lid on it so it can come to a boil. In the back pan, I have butter, onions, some more chicken bouillon from Goya, and I am going to put my green beans in that. I make seasoned green beans with chicken stock. That's how I like mines. You can use 1 packet or 2 depending on how many cans of green beans that you're using. I used 2 and I used 3 cans of green beans. I should have used 1.5. It was a little extra for me. Everybody else, it was fine. But I probably should have used 1.5. In the background, I am making Jiffy cornbread, and I'm just following the directions on the packet. So that's simply what you want to do for cornbread, is what it says on the packet. Now, I do add a little extra milk because to me it just, I don't know if my eggs be, I mean, I use large eggs, but it always seems like it's a little thick.
If you guys want to know, that Mama knows how to cook cheese with macaroni with brownie.
So as I was saying, I'm making cornbread in the back. I just follow the instructions and I whisk it. I am going to be adding a little extra milk. I don't know. I use large eggs, but and I use the correct amount of milk, but sometimes it seems a little thick to me. So I always add a little more milk to it just for my liking. All right, so the water is to a boil, so I'm adding my 2 cups of rice. I use jasmine rice. Use any rice that you prefer. Once that comes to a boil, you need to turn it down. I also put in the oven a pan with some butter in it that I will be putting the cornbread in. Right now, I'm following the box mix for a cake. I'm going to make cupcakes for the kids. I just wanted them to have something sweet because they always asking for dessert. Like they're supposed to get dessert with every meal. So yeah, I preheated my oven, and the pan that you saw me put in had butter in it, just to be ready for the cornbread mix. There it is out of the oven. You can see the butter is melted. I learned this while I was in Alabama. I used to live there, if you don't know. And this is how my friend's mom would make her cornbread. So you see my green beans are boiling. My rice is steaming. I'm now putting the cupcake liners. Child, I got so many cupcake liners, I can make cupcakes for days. So I just picked whatever color, and there wasn't no rhyme or reason to it, just trying to use them up. I think I got these on clearance. I think I paid $1 for them, and I was thinking about putting the brownie mix in there too. I'm cutting off the green beans because they're essentially done. The onions are cooking. I don't put a lot of onions in them. I prefer the onions more than anybody. My kids could care less. I'm using a ladle to put my cake mix into the muffin tin. And I was supposed to make 24, but I just was like, that's okay. I like my cupcakes to be full. So this is I followed the box mix again to make brownies for the family. And I'm just putting it in a butter dish, and it will go into the oven too. There's Pierce. He's back in the kitchen, seeing what I'm doing, pulling on my clothes, calling my name, as if I'm not doing anything. That's what babies do. All right, here I am getting 2 cups of flour. I'm putting in this storage bag, Ziploc bag that I have. It might not be Ziploc, it may be Glade, whoever's bag. It's somebody's bag. 2 cups of flour, and I'm going to season my flour. I'm going to use onion powder, garlic powder, a little lemon pepper, and some paprika to give my chicken a nice color. Again, season your chicken to your taste. I like to let it sit. It lets the seasoning get in it, stick to it good. Now Symphony's in the kitchen. I also add a little cornstarch just to help it get crunchy because I like my chicken crunchy. Because what's the point of having fried chicken if it's not crunchy, people? So here I'm just putting about four, I think I did 4 to 5 legs. And this is why I put it in the bag because I'm just shaking the bag up. And don't worry, guys, the gloves that I have on, I've had the gloves for months. I didn't take them from anybody. So I'm just glad that I've had them for a while. I like to use them, especially when I'm doing stuff like this, because you need to be like either constantly washing your hands. You see it gets sticky from pulling it out. And I like to flour all my chicken and let it sit a minute so that the flour can stick to it versus going right from the bag into the grease. My grease is in that black, it's called a multi-purpose cooker. I only use it to fry stuff in though, so my grease is set about to between 350 and 375. There's a thing that sits in it so that the chicken doesn't sit on the bottom, but I don't know what that happened to that. I'm going to set a timer for about 20 minutes. And while that's doing that, I'm going to mess up my steak, y'all. So I added in the other half of the onion that I had left. I'm adding in my steak that was cut up. I'm going to season it with some onion powder. Of course, I'm washing my hands because I was touching raw meat. I'm going to season it with some onion powder, some garlic powder. I have some barbecue seasoning. I have some oxtail seasoning. And you know what? I was looking at this and I was like, I should have used that cast iron skillet for my cornbread. But yeah, another day. And I'm going to put a little Worcestershire. I probably messed that up, but that's fine. I'm going to put a little Worcestershire in there. I'm going to let that cook. I was going to let it cook on top of the stove. But I said, well, I already got the oven on. Let me put it in the oven. And there was my mistake, guys, putting it in the oven. I'm going to tell you why. So I'm cooking it. Here, what I'm doing is getting the chicken to getting my paper bag and my paper towels ready for the chicken. This way, I do it this way so I don't have to use so many paper towels. And you gotta use the paper bags for something, people. I know some people use them to put their chicken in too. So, everybody has a reuse purpose for something. I want to get a like a rack. That's what it is. I want to get a rack so that the chicken can drain and the underside doesn't become soggy because it's straining. So I'm setting the timer there, like I said, for 20 minutes. And then I was like, I could put this steak in the oven and then I don't have to sit here and watch it. Major mistake, lady. So I'm going to cut that off, stick it in the oven. And here, this is just a time lapse of the chicken frying, my son climbing over because he's ready to eat. So when the first batch of chicken got done, I pulled it out and fed the kids. Hi guys, so this was more of a cook with me. Here is my fried chicken. Here is my brownies, my green beans, my jasmine rice that I cooked for about 10 minutes on medium low. Cut it off and let it steam for about 5-10 minutes. My lima beans, total cook time about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The steak, the macaroni and cheese looks delicious. The cornbread, and these are the cupcakes that I made that I didn't get to ice. I don't really like icing that much, so it's not a big deal to me. And here is my finished plate. I did film a mukbang on this, and it will be uploaded after this. So I hope you enjoyed this cook along with Just Tiffany. I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified.